Navigating existence is a continuous process of self-actualization, where you strive to uncover your authentic identity and reach your highest potential. Throughout this lifelong progression, you may find yourself drifting closer to, or further away from, your genuine nature. The theologian and philosopher Søren Kierkegaard, widely regarded as the founder of existentialism, offered an extraordinarily deep examination of the human experience that foreshadowed core psychoanalytic principles. Pushing past mere psychological frameworks, he delved into the complexities of faith to grasp the ultimate meaning of humanity, defining the spirit by stating, "The human being is spirit. But what is spirit? Spirit is the self. But what is the self? The self is a relation which relates to itself." To attain genuine individuality, Kierkegaard argued that you must forge a connection with the eternal, an element that reciprocates this bond and grounds your existence. When you fail to secure this eternally firm foundation, you become incapable of forming a true identity, and this very failure is the root cause of despair. The philosopher's attempt to pinpoint the exact nature of identity is steeped in irony, seemingly designed to evoke hopelessness in anyone who assumes they can unravel their own mystery entirely on their own. He categorized this hopelessness into two distinct variations, the despair of infinitude and the despair of finitude. When you experience the despair of infinitude, your identity becomes severed from your physical reality, leaving you unanchored and dangerously disconnected from the mundane world, a state of profound imbalance that modern medicine identifies as schizophrenic psychosis. Yet, he highlighted a far more prevalent tragedy where an individual allows themselves to be cheated out of their individuality by the masses. By immersing yourself entirely in worldly matters and adopting the shrewdness of society, you forget your own essence, finding it much safer to become a mere imitation or a faceless number within the crowd. This powerful description perfectly captures the herd mentality, illustrating those who shrink from the heavy burden and inherent danger of forging their own meaningful path. Instead of daring to be unique, you might find it far easier to hide within the collective, firmly planted inside the secure boundaries of societal and cultural expectations. Being too deeply entrenched in the material world restricts the freedom of your inner spirit, leading to what Kierkegaard termed the despair of finitude, heavily echoing the modern concept of depressive psychosis. Trapped in this condition, you become incapable of envisioning alternative paths, remaining shackled to meaningless, trivial duties that strip away your intrinsic worth. By yielding your autonomy and clinging tightly to those who trap you in an overwhelming web of duties, you essentially condemn yourself to a comfortable but ultimately empty servitude. This illusion of safety quickly loses its appeal, leaving you physically present but spiritually deceased, which is the true agony of depressive psychosis, stewing in your own defeat while desperately trying to extract some lingering sense of value from it. As Kierkegaard astutely noted, the most profound peril, the silent disappearance of your own identity, can occur without a whisper, whereas the loss of a limb, a spouse, or a mere $5 would instantly trigger alarm. While enduring his own profound existential crisis, Kierkegaard expressed in his private journals that his primary desire was not to accumulate knowledge, but to clearly understand the specific actions he was meant to take. He sought to decipher his personal truth and identify the divine calling for his life, yearning to discover a core principle for which he could passionately live and ultimately die. For him, this ultimate truth required taking a radical leap of faith, meaning that true identity is not built independently, but is achieved by standing transparently before God, allowing a higher divine nature to overwhelm your own. Consequently, discovering your genuine identity demands a metaphorical destruction of your current state, initiating a profound cycle of death and rebirth. Through this intense internal relationship with the divine, you achieve self-transcendence, effectively rescuing yourself from the madness of existential aimlessness. Yet, even a deeply religious existence does not grant complete immunity from despair, because authentic faith demands continuous testing and relentless challenging. Expanding on this pursuit of self-knowledge, Sigmund Freud advanced psychoanalytic theory to its absolute boundaries, though he anchored his conclusions in the primal, animalistic aspects of human nature rather than spiritual faith. By emphasizing the libido and the pleasure principle, Freud established psychoanalysis upon the realization that curing patients required excavating repressed unconscious traumas and bringing them into the light of conscious awareness. While Freud dedicated his career to studying psychopathology and the dysfunctions of the human mind, subsequent thinkers expanded the field, including Carl Jung's concept of individuation, which we will explore later. Shifting away from illness, psychologists like Carl Rogers and Abraham Maslow pivoted toward the inherent capacity for human growth, fundamentally enriching our comprehension of personal development. Rogers introduced the concept of the self-concept, an evolving understanding of your own identity that takes root in early childhood and continuously adapts as you gain more life experience. Maintaining a positive self-concept is essential for feeling content with your personal identity, and this construct is fundamentally split into your self-image, your self-esteem, and your ideal self. Your self-image encompasses how you perceive your physical appearance, your societal roles, and your unique personality traits, although this perception frequently diverges from objective reality and can take on a pessimistic tint. This distortion is intimately linked to your self-esteem, which represents the overall worth you assign to yourself, heavily dictated by how you measure up against others and how the world responds to you. Feelings of inadequacy often arise whenever you measure your achievements against the triumphs of those around you, or when you face harsh criticism from your peers. In contrast to your actual identity, the flawed individual you currently represent, there exists a conceptualized version of who you desperately wish to become. This envisioned persona serves as a guiding framework, designed to help your authentic identity unlock its hidden capabilities. Whenever a significant disconnect emerges between these two facets of your identity, psychological distress can take root, effectively paralyzing your ability to cultivate a fulfilling character. You might even fall into the trap of thinking that this optimal version of yourself is completely unattainable, causing your genuine identity to morph into something you deeply resent. Because your understanding of who you are relies heavily on the social dynamics you navigate, you need to remain vigilant about how external validation or rejection can subtly distort your self-perception. A crucial paradigm for reaching what Abraham Maslow termed self-actualization, the complete awakening of your inherent capabilities, was established by his pioneering work. As he famously articulated, an individual is compelled to become everything they are capable of becoming. This concept embodies an intense drive to achieve your utmost limits and transform into the greatest possible version of yourself, a journey uniquely tailored to each person. Sitting at the very summit of his renowned hierarchy, this stage represents the ultimate realization of human longing and possibility. Yet, before you can even attempt to reach this apex, your fundamental requirements must be thoroughly satisfied. Illustrated most effectively as a pyramid, this model of motivation places foundational necessities at the base, gradually building toward ultimate psychological fulfillment. Your journey begins with primal biological imperatives, such as sustenance, hydration, shelter, intimacy, and sleep, before advancing to the essential need for physical security, stable employment, robust health, and personal assets. Moving upwards, you encounter psychological prerequisites, encompassing the profound desire for affection and belonging through friendships and romantic partnerships, as well as the craving for respect, social standing, and a sense of triumph. Collectively, these initial 4 tiers are classified as deficiency needs. The theorist characterized these human motivations as highly dynamic, suggesting that you often experience multiple drives concurrently, rather than moving through a strictly regimented, step-by-step evolution. During the latter part of his career, the psychologist critically re-examined his initial focus on personal fulfillment and introduced an expanded framework of developmental requirements. He incorporated a cognitive tier to account for your craving for mental engagement, alongside an aesthetic layer dedicated to the pursuit of symmetry, structure, and visual appeal. Above all these, ascending even past the realization of personal potential, he positioned the ultimate concept of self-transcendence. This fascinating modification echoes the philosophical concepts of Søren Kierkegaard, emphasizing spiritual yearnings that reach far beyond the boundaries of your own ego. According to the updated theory, this state represents the most elevated, comprehensive tier of human awareness, where actions and connections are treated as ultimate goals rather than mere stepping stones, encompassing your relationship with yourself, humanity, the natural world, and the entire universe. It centers on the profound act of dedicating your existence to a greater cause, manifesting through mystical encounters, deep spiritual devotion, or selfless acts of charity. You can easily draw parallels between this concept of moving beyond the ego and the core tenets of Eastern thought, where the pursuit of inner awakening takes on a radically different flavor than in Occidental traditions. While Western paradigms typically offer a wide array of interpretations for individual identity, Oriental perspectives overwhelmingly regard the ego as a deceptive mirage, entirely devoid of concrete reality. The Buddhist tradition actively rejects the notion of a permanent identity, arguing instead that you are merely a collection of fleeting mental conditions, rendering the very idea of personal fulfillment an oxymoron. Within this framework, the fundamental reality of existence is inextricably linked to anguish, a core principle recognized as the primary undeniable truth. This perpetual misery stems directly from your attachments, relentless yearnings, and insatiable wants, which must be relinquished through rigorous self-discipline if you hope to escape samsara. This relentless, karma-driven wheel of reincarnation forces you to drift purposelessly through ordinary life. Securing your ultimate emancipation demands a lifelong commitment to the Noble Eightfold Path, a comprehensive regimen designed to usher you into nirvana, the ultimate liberation from sorrow, where true salvation lies in comprehending your fundamental lack of a permanent ego. In a similar vein, Taoism places heavy emphasis on the inherent limitations and deceptive nature of spoken words. The foundational energy of the cosmos, known as the Tao, or the Way, completely defies any attempt to capture its magnitude within the confines of human vocabulary. Its teachings propose that your individual existence is merely a single expression among infinite variations of this universal force, acting as a direct continuation of the cosmos itself. By asserting that a flawless individual possesses no distinct identity and a genuine master leaves no legacy, this philosophy establishes the complete dissolution of the ego as its paramount aspiration. Conversely, the Hindu philosophical tradition of Advaita Vedanta, which literally translates to non-duality, prioritizes the acquisition of profound inner wisdom. Unlike the previously mentioned Eastern paths, it encourages a comprehensive grasp of your authentic essence, the Atman, an eternal aspect of your being that far outlives your biological vessel. You achieve this state by grasping the supreme absolute, or Brahman, and acknowledging that your material surroundings are temporary constructs ensnared within Maya. This potent, cosmic mirage deceives you into believing the physical realm is genuine, meaning that everything you perceive, especially your own sense of individuality, is nothing more than a captivating hallucination. Returning to a psychological perspective, Carl Jung, the pioneer of analytical psychology, defined your complete identity as the absolute sum of your character, blending both your aware mind and your hidden depths. This overarching wholeness reigns supreme over the ego, as the latter merely represents the aspects of your psyche that you actively recognize. You must understand that this conscious ego does not serve as the central axis of who you are. The renowned psychoanalyst observed that the ultimate destination of mental maturation is this complete, integrated identity, noting that progress is not a straight line, but rather a continuous circling around your core, a profound revelation that ultimately granted him emotional grounding and restored his tranquil state of mind. Reflecting on my own journey, I realized that discovering the mandala as a manifestation of the self represented my ultimate achievement. While others might claim deeper insights, this was my absolute truth. Carl Jung suggests that your psychological landscape is divided into 3 distinct territories. The conscious mind, which acts as the arena of awareness housing your ego. The personal unconscious, holding your unique but discarded or suppressed memories. And finally, the collective unconscious. This profound foundational layer contains the inherited mental legacy common to all humanity, expressing itself through universal emotional blueprints known as archetypes. If you solely identify with your conscious traits, you remain trapped in an illusion, entirely ignorant of your actual nature. Authentic self-awareness demands a courageous exploration of your hidden inner landscape, an expedition that Jung considered the most vital pursuit of human existence. The cornerstone of his philosophy is individuation, a transformative process of self-realization that, although unfolding passively as you age, remains largely unnoticed unless you actively engage with it. To deliberately navigate this lifelong evolution, you must gradually transfer the core of your psychological existence from the ego to the self, dragging buried elements into the light of day. By recognizing the symbolic expressions of archetypes within these depths, you unlock a profound understanding of humanity's eternal rhythms. Ultimately, this journey does not aim for an unreachable state of perfection, but rather seeks a comprehensive wholeness of character. You can only achieve genuine serenity, integration, and joy when your conscious mind and unconscious depths reach a harmonious, complementary alliance. Analyzing your dreams provides the most accessible pathway for communicating with these hidden aspects of your mind. Through extensive observation, Jung realized that the unconscious uses nocturnal symbolism to deliver essential insights, deliberately counteracting the biases of your waking mindset to restore mental equilibrium. This stabilizing function, often referred to as the compensatory role of dreams, forms the foundational evidence for a hidden psychological realm. Having interpreted around 80,000 dreams throughout his career, the visionary psychiatrist uncovered distinct, recurring structures within them. By diligently recording your nocturnal narratives over an extended time frame, you will notice specific themes surfacing, vanishing, and eventually returning. This gradual, cyclical expansion of awareness perfectly illustrates the ongoing mechanics of individuation. During this introspective work, you might encounter universal figures like the trickster, the hero, the wise old man, and the great mother, primordial images that saturate both personal visions and global mythology. While contemporary society fiercely clings to the illusion of total self-mastery, Jung reminds us that we stubbornly deny our deep reliance on formidable internal forces operating entirely outside our jurisdiction. One particularly formidable archetype you must confront is the shadow, described by Jung as the obscure, unacknowledged fraction of your identity that hoards every suppressed and undesirable trait. It is natural to reject the flaws you detest within yourself, instinctively projecting those exact shortcomings onto the people around you. Yet, this obscured territory also traps vital positive characteristics, such as raw creativity, honesty, and competitiveness, which you must actively liberate from the darkness. As Jung noted, every person drags a shadow behind them, and the more violently it is excluded from waking awareness, the more opaque and oppressive it becomes. True maturation remains impossible as long as you hide behind a fabricated persona, a social mask designed to obscure your genuine nature and project a curated image to the world. Sacrificing your authenticity to win the approval of others severely damages your mental resilience, severing your connection to the unconscious mind. This performative existence becomes profoundly destructive when you forget you are wearing a disguise, allowing unresolved negativity to quietly enslave you to your own shadow. To break this cycle, it must be you who integrates your shadow, ensuring it does not consume you first. You can achieve this through shadow work, a rigorous practice requiring constant self-awareness, emotional tracking, radical honesty, and deep dream investigation. Ultimately, psychological unity requires embracing your flaws, for as Jung profoundly stated, there is no light without shadow, and no psychic wholeness without imperfection. Life demands completeness rather than perfection, utilizing the inevitable pain of your defects as the essential catalyst for true progress and ascent.